Now, to this webinar, we will show you, give you a short introduction, what are the results from our study to the warehouse adoption, automation, trends in modeling, and especially data vault adoption. My name is Herbert Stauffer. I'm working for BARC since almost 10 years as a senior analyst and also as managing director for our Switzerland location. And I will hand over to my colleague, Kevin Petrie. He will introduce himself.
Thank you, Herbert. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, from my side, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So great to have this opportunity to speak with folks today. I've really enjoyed collaborating with Herbert, and we have some great guests as well. My name is Kevin Petrie. I run the research group here at Eckerson Group, which is a research and consulting firm focused on data analytics. We have some very interesting findings based on a survey that we conducted, Eckerson Group and BARC. We had 238 respondents among enterprise data analytics leaders looking at trends in data warehouse and data vault adoption and modernization. So a few notes of housekeeping. We encourage you to make this interactive, to ask questions. So you'll see in the Q&A string, you can submit questions. We encourage you also to chat with each other and with our speakers. This is intended to be peers sharing perspectives. The nice thing is that we have the ability to, I'm getting some notes here that some things are muted. Hopefully folks can still hear me okay. The nice thing is that we have the ability, we've gathered a lot of insights from a lot of your peers. And what we find with the Eckerson Group community, I'm sure it's true with the BARC community as well, is folks enjoy learning from us, but they also enjoy learning from their peers, particularly those that are best in class. We'll talk more about what that means and what some of the lessons learned are from them. So unanswered questions, if there are some open questions, we'll be sure to follow up directly with the respondents. In terms of the questions, if you have them directed at a specific speaker, either me or Herbert or one of our vendor speakers as well, please be sure to signal that and we'll handle it accordingly. After I speak, after Herbert and I speak, we're going to hand off to 3 of our sponsoring vendors, representatives there. We have Stefan Alborn from Time Extender, Jonas de Kuster from VaultSpeed, and then Peter Smalley and Dimitri Sorokin from AnalyticsCreator. So this should be a great discussion. So without further ado, I'll set the table a little bit and talk about the survey demographics. As I said, we had 238 respondents in terms of a sample size. And you can see the range of titles here. There are a few things I'll point out. That the most common title or role is a business or a data analyst and then a data architect. Half of the respondents are involved in actively modeling data. And most of the rest are either overseeing modeling projects or advising them. So we had a very smart group of folks participating in our survey that really understand the latest trends and best practices related to data modeling. Our company size varies, and it was a pretty even range. We had a relatively even split between those that have fewer than 500 employees, those that have 500 to 5,000 employees, and those larger enterprises that have 5,000 or more employees. This was a little more weighted towards Europe and the United States or North America. We also had some respondents, a few from South America, Asia Pacific, and other in Africa. So what I want to do now is I'm going to hand over to Herbert, who's got, I think, some interesting findings about the environments themselves that challenge conventional wisdom and some of the things we think we know about the data warehouse and the role it plays. But Herbert, why don't I hand over to you?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I will start at the left side, and what we recognize that the most common form of architecture is still the data warehouse, which is used by almost 4 of 5 companies. Slightly more than half of the companies also use direct analyzers from the operational systems, often together with data warehouse or another form of architecture. In this question, there were multiple answers allowed, and what we recognize that most companies use 2 or 3 different systems or type of architectures together. The type of the company has no significant influence. And in a deep analysis of the data warehouse, users showed that the single point of truth is a myth. Often also data warehousing companies use more than one type of architecture. We were also interested what the other almost 50 companies use, what the companies without the data warehousing are using. And there are 2 groups inside. Half of the companies use alternate architectures, such as data lakes, data as lakehouse, independent marts, and so on. That the other half does not seem to have a clear architecture. Mostly analyses are simply created from the operational system. That means that we have 2 smaller groups, a group with alternate architecture types on matured level, and other companies with not a clearly defined architecture. Okay, Kevin, could I get the next slide?
Sure.
We are also interested what it was, what's the main challenges are. And no surprise is that data quality is priority 1. Actually, I think it's a shame that data quality is still ranked number 1, as it also probably was 10 or 20 years ago. Then on rank 2 or 3, I think rank 2 or 3 is interesting. Many companies complain the low level of automation and dependencies of people doing manual tasks. I wonder if there's a connection between there. Okay, many companies now want to work on data quality and automation. For me, one surprise was that the top-in-class companies want to work little on their data quality. But deeper analysis showed that these companies also have significantly less problems. The problem has already been solved that this company does. Okay, and I think I hand over to Kevin now. I get.
Excellent. Thank you, Herbert. Great stuff. And so I think one piece of finding that we don't have in this deck, but I'll just provide quick color, that I think shows a good backdrop for what Herbert's talking about, is that in terms of strategic initiatives, digital transformation and data modernization are a huge focus for a lot of the companies that we talk to. And so you can picture as enterprises digitize more and more of their customer interactions and digitize more and more of their operations, that's throwing off all kinds of multi-structured data. And that's why data quality is so challenging, because you have new teams creating new silos, you have new types of data that can have different versions of the truth. So it's a moving target, and it's challenging to keep up. Now, I think that this slide in particular is helpful to explain the level of automation. We do find that organizations view automation as a critical way of getting on top of their data environments, reducing manual effort, reducing cumbersome manual and error-prone tasks. And so you can see here if you look at the left, there's red, blue, and green, which means that we have most or all fully automated processes. That applies in particular to data integration and to platform monitoring processes, and it kind of goes down from there. And on the right, you can see that there are mostly manual or fully manual processes. And so there are a set of processes that still need to catch up. This fits with some related research that we did at Eckerson Group. We just finished a CDO tech fence, and I'm finishing a market landscape report right now on data pipelines, data integration, and data engineering. And there's no question that many organizations are looking to automate so much of their data integration tasks so that they can reduce manual effort and reduce error. The method of automation is evenly distributed, relatively evenly distributed between custom homegrown strips and commercial tools. And so this is an interesting finding because, as we'll talk about later, you're going to get more advantage from automating with commercial tools. That's what we find from the best-in-class leaders. But there is kind of a mix. A lot of organizations are still using those somewhat cumbersome custom scripts to automate. All right, so now we can talk a little bit about what types of modeling techniques are most common within enterprises. And you can see that the STAR schema is most common, followed by direct analytics of operational data, which is a more rudimentary approach, but it's still quite common. Behind that is looking at data marts. And so you can kind of see the STAR schema and the data mart approaches are relatively mainstream in terms of the approaches that Bill Inman and Ralph Kimball had espoused. Behind that is the data vault at 28%, and then another chunk of folks that have adopted the data vault methodology in the past. Now, if we drill into more on the data vault segment in particular, we can see that organizations have a mixed approach in terms of their alignment with the standards of the Data Vault 2.0 solution, which is very prescriptive in terms of architecture, in terms of methodology, and best practices. It addresses people and process and technology. And so you can see that most Data Vault adopters do not fully align with 2.0 solution standards, which we think limits the value that they're going to get from those environments. So now, if we look at the business drivers for the Data Vault, the reason that organizations adopted the Data Vault to begin with, a lot of those business drivers really boil down to the desire to accelerate and in the process simplify data delivery, as well as the desire to align with the thinking and the recommendations of experts. Within their organization, these might be experts that are outside consultants as well. The more that they can take the advice of folks that know the Data Vault approach and understand it, the more likely they are to adopt it. Now, we've got a lot of technical drivers here, and I think I'll highlight a few things. One is that it's critical to look at the performance benefits and the extensibility. You can kind of see working on down that the desire to speed up data delivery, to embrace extensibility, scalability, and flexibility were some of the driving reasons that organizations adopted the Data Vault over time. Now, everything has drawbacks, and so we asked folks to tell us what they viewed as the primary reasons that they struggled a little bit with the Data Vault, since there are pros and cons to any approach. And we find that the Data Vault drawbacks include skills and training requirements, complexity, and performance. And so this is interesting because the Data Vault, like all these approaches, requires some real training and some real expertise. And we found that if enterprises did not have the right skill set from the get-go, from the starting point, then they weren't going to get quite as much value from the data vault. Additionally, we asked enterprises and respondents to provide color commentary, and they cited a few things. They cited a lack of awareness, complexity, and then a lack of skills and resources as reasons that they didn't go with the data vault. Less frequent, they also talked about not knowing enough about the business value and the ROI. There was also concern about costs. Okay, we always find it helpful, and BARC is excellent at this, at differentiating respondents based on their answer to a key question. How do you view yourself in these areas compared to the competition? Do you believe that you're better than most competitors or worse? And so if respondents say that they're better, then they are deemed best in class. If they're worse, they're deemed laggards. So this is a good way to differentiate. Respondents self-select anonymously as to how strong they feel their data management practices are. And we found that nearly 2/3 of best-in-class companies say their automation is fully or mostly based on commercial tools rather than homegrown scripts. This is an important finding. It's not surprising, but it's worth emphasizing because there is a tendency to save money up front by not buying a commercial tool and instead having someone in-house go ahead and develop a custom script to solve a problem right there and to automate it. But you reduce future costs if you invest in a commercial tool. Laggards have invested more in homegrown scripts for automation. Leaders are investing more in commercial tools for automation. In terms of future plans, laggards understand their weaknesses. They're looking to improve automation, improve data quality, accelerate performance, and improve resiliency, availability. And they view those as bigger priorities than best-in-class companies. This isn't surprising. This just shows a certain self-awareness among laggards about what the problems are and what they need to do to address it. They view data quality as one of their biggest challenges. As Herbert said, it's a shame, but it is a chronic source of pain, and enterprises still have work to do there. If we look at comparisons of best-in-class to laggards in the category of data vault, best-in-class companies are adopting, a higher portion of best-in-class companies adopt the data vault, and a higher portion of best-in-class data vault users align with that 2.0 solution standard. They align with the prescriptive methodology and the best practices espoused by the Data Vault Alliance. Most of them, 91%, plan to increase the role of the data vault in their environments, indicating a certain level of satisfaction and a level of optimism about what the data vault can do for them going forward. Laggards, most of them still want to increase the role of the data vault, 60%, but by not as high a margin as the leaders. Okay, so what does this mean in terms of recommendations that we have? We find that, and this is true of a lot of technologies at a lot of points in time, it's important for enterprises to focus on fundamentals. I talked earlier about how digital transformation is leading to this proliferation in data volume, variety, and velocity. That makes it all the more important to focus on fundamentals like data quality, fundamentals like automation, doubling down on data quality, seeking to reduce duplicate sources, duplicate versions of the truth, so that even if you have multiple systems, they don't have overlapping and conflicting records. We talked earlier about the proven, I think, practice of best-in-class companies of automating with commercial tools, because that gives them more ability to adapt to future automation needs than developing custom homegrown scripts for automation. Another critical best practice here or recommendation that we have is for enterprises to learn more about the data vault. There are experts that can be hired. There are experts, consultants that understand the data vault well. And if you look at folks who've gone down that path, best-in-class companies that have adopted the data vault, they're satisfied and they're increasing the role of the data vault. And then the final point here is that if you study closely the experiences of the data vault leaders in terms of adopting a 2.0 solution standard, you can increase your odds of success as you look at that potential methodology. Okay, so good. So I'm going to turn over to Herbert now, who is going to introduce our speakers, and we'll look forward to some more expert commentary from our sponsoring vendors.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. If you have questions, please write it in the chat. And now we will start with our first presentation from Peter Smalley. He's CEO, founder from AnalyticsCreator. He has more than 25 years experience in several roles in this data warehousing analytics area. He named himself as a serial entrepreneur. I think that's the correct title, what I mentioned it. And the other part is Dimitri Sorokin. I hope I spelled his name correctly. He is Chief Technology Officer at AnalyticsCreator, and he has more than 30 years of experience in IT and analytics, especially. Okay, then I'll hand over to Peter Smalley. I think you will start.
Yes, thank you, Herbert. So I will share my screen. Yeah, hello, everybody. Welcome to my presentation about AnalyticsCreator data warehouse automation technology. My name is Peter Smalley, and I am the CEO and one of the founders. AnalyticsCreator is a Munich-based company, and the product is now over 15 years used by customers. For 4 years, AnalyticsCreator was placed in the leading position at the BARC Data Management Survey. In this year, we achieved 7 leading positions, such as customer experience, development efficiency, support quality, technical capability, and automation, just to name a few. In a nutshell, AnalyticsCreator is a pure design time tool. This means that the only outcome is pure source code for using it in your environment. The key component of AnalyticsCreator is its comprehensive data modeling toolkit, as shown in number 4. And there are wizards with best practices, suggestions, which help you to design your model more efficiently. You can choose Data Vault 2.0 modeling, Kimball modeling, or our special mixed approach, and also you're completely free to develop your own approach. AnalyticsCreator create all layers of your data warehouse and the loading processes from the source to the target. AnalyticsCreator deploy into the Azure cloud and also to local SQL server. We create SSAS packages. We create multi-dimensional model as analysis services, also tabular models and Azure Data Factory, also the Synapse components. We create also automatically Power BI models, Tableau models, and Click models. Basically, we are focusing on the Microsoft Analytics stack. But with AnalyticsCreator, you are able to export the data warehouse to Oracle, Snowflake, AWS, and more. As was shown in the BARC and Eckerson survey earlier, we understand that many companies want to update and modernize their environment in the next 3 years. As an example, how we can support the ICCs with this modernization, I would like to highlight what Kulmbacher Bierbrauerei achieved with AnalyticsCreator. Kulmbacher has a SAP system as a source for the existing Microsoft SQL server data warehouse, and over 4,000 tables are connected to the ingest layer. The environment become too complex to manage and difficult to maintain after many years. Also, it was hardly possible to add new requirements from the business. Kulmacher had a lot logic in the old data warehouse in place, which they wanted to retain in the new data warehouse. This was done semi-automatically, and we reduced the estimated development time from 1 year to 1 month. Now it is much easier to implement new requirements and maintain the model. Every change in SAP will trigger a change process in AnalyticsCreator. Of course, the loading time decreased, the size is smaller, and the performance much better. Kulmacher uses the many features of AnalyticsCreator, such as automated documentation and data lineage. In the next step, it is possible to shift the data warehouse to the cloud without re-engineering the holistic model, keep the customer independent from the target system. You will find the full story on our website, under resources, and on YouTube. Now we come to the demo.
Okay, then now I will try to create a new data warehouse based on the SAP data source. I created now the empty data warehouse project and added the sub FI connector to this project. This sub FI connector contains the information about the SAP tables related to sub FI and controlling area. And now I will use the data warehouse wizard to create the new data warehouse. Sorry, I have to deselect the connector. Okay, here I would select some well-known SAP tables related to sub financial area, like sub BKP, BKPF, sub BSIG, then customers, KNA1, vendors, LFA1. Okay, I would say company codes and accounts. And now I will create a new data warehouse using data vault architecture. We can switch between Kimball and data vault architecture. Okay, and I will create the hubs, links, and satellites. Okay, we'll create the satellite link from the basic table because this table contains my fact information. I will create dimensions and facts. Okay, and let's do it. And now AnalyticsCreator will analyze the structure of according SAP tables and will try to create for us the draft version of the data warehouse, which we can later modify. We will add maybe additional transformations, measures, and so on. But important is that the draft version of the data warehouse will be created automatically. What is important, this connector, this sub FI connector, is not bound to the SAP system. This is a meta connector which we created for this demo. And this connector contains metadata of the SAP tables. Okay, let's take a look on the data warehouse or the draft data warehouse generated by AnalyticsCreator. Here you can see the typical layer diagram of the data warehouse or data flow diagram. From the left to the right, you can see this is a source layer, our data sources, SAP tables. Then there is a staging layer containing the imported data. Then there is a persistent staging layer, or in our case, this is data vault raw layer, containing the hubs, links, and satellites. And then, starting on the core layer, we convert the data vault models, the data vault objects into the facts and dimensions. Okay, this is not poor data vault model, not the poor data warehouse, but this is a mixed data warehouse. On the top, in the data mart layer, we still have the facts and dimensions. And let's take a look on the on the elements in this data warehouse. For example, this is a table, or let's take a look on this one. This is a table containing the information about the accounts which we import from the SIP. If we take a look on this table, we can see here the different fields imported from the SIP data table. And additionally, we have here some calculated columns containing the hash keys which will be generated during the data import, and the hash keys will be materialized. Therefore, the access to the hash keys is very quick, very performant. And together with the typical hash keys, we generate the corresponding hash keys using, okay, for example, let's take a look on the set table, and we generate in this table 6 different hash keys, the hash keys of the table itself and corresponding hash keys for the tables related to this table. Okay, anyway, the hashing of the data will be performed during the data import, and then we generate the links and satellites, and at the end, you can see in the core layer, for example, in this fact transformation, we convert the data vault objects into the facts and dimensions. Okay, you can use this approach, or you can create your own mixed architectures. This is no problem. And now let me show you maybe the productive project of one of our customers. We'll connect to this project, and here on in this project we can maybe see more. Okay, let me take a look on this one. How the project in AnalyticsCreator can looks like. This is a productive project of one of our customer. You can see the project is pretty complex. This is the customer use most the SAP tables, SAP data sources as a source for this data warehouse. And on the right side, we can see a lot of different facts and dimensions. Let me select one of the existing facts, for example, delivery fact. And then here we can see how this data star related to delivery information was created. You can see on the left side different SIP data sources. The data will be imported, then they will be historicized in the core layer. The facts and dimensions will be generated, and then we have here on the right side our data mart layer. This customer use the mixed approach. This is a typical Kimball data warehouse, but some data vault features will be used in this data warehouse. And in this case, the customer use the hashing of the tables. For example, we can see every table here has the hash key. For example, let's take a look on this one, or okay, let me take maybe here, you can see more. Okay, every table has a hash key, and some tables has a corresponding hash keys. And some of the relationships will be materialized or will be replaced by the hash key relations. And this is not the data vault technology, but this hashing of the model this can be used in the Kimball models too. And this important feature of the data vault was used by the customer and to create the according the own data warehouse. And for example, you can see using this data warehouse is pretty complex. If I move the filter, you can see a lot of different objects. But using AnalyticsCreator, you can very easy filter the information in this data warehouse and to show only information related, for example, to specific data star. Or I will see, for example, which objects are related to the specific SIP table, for example, or and so on. Therefore, AnalyticsCreator is not only the data warehouse generator, but this is a data lineage tool. And this data lineage tool allows you to recognize where the specific information will be used and how the specific information will be generated. What is important, what you can see, the picture which you can see here, this model, this is just a model, and this model can be materialized as the deployment package. And we can generate the deployment package based on this model. And this deployment package, this is a typical Microsoft Visual Studio solution. And this model, this solution, this deployment package can be deployed everywhere. You can deploy it on premise, you can deploy it on the cloud. We can generate the SQL Server structures in form of backpack data files. We can generate multi-dimensional and tabular Olap cubes and Power BI models in form of XMLA files. We can generate integration service packages and Azure Data Factory, ARM templates, and so on and so on. And this Visual Studio solution can work without AnalyticsCreator. You can deploy it everywhere using the same model created by AnalyticsCreator. Okay, I think Peter, you can continue. I will give the word to my colleague Peter. And
yes.
Continue.
I will hand over.
So, Peter, what we see right now is a very small view. There we go. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So to the very end. So okay. So about the vision of AnalyticsCreator, this is very important to understand that AnalyticsCreator is a pure design time tool. This means there is no component at the customer side or in an environment which run on the server. It's a pure design time tool, and you are completely free to use the generated code also after the subscription ends. And you have a single holistic view for all users, if these are developers or business user, on the same data model and the same data catalog. We are focusing on 100% on a Microsoft Analytics stack. So this is the reason, because we have the best results on this environment. Okay, in June or July, we will broaden our environment a little bit more, but we will announce it in June, something like that. Then we go in another additional directions, I would say. Also, we have an open repository. This open repository, all the metadata is stored there, and you are able to develop your own add-ons there, and you can store your data there. And also, for example, partners created out of the repository their own engines, which create data warehouses in several target environments. Yeah, this is my presentation. Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to contact me. Here are my contact details. And also, we have a time-limited promotion. You have the possibility to use our consultants for an evaluation, for an audit, for a architecture audit. And we will support you on this, and our team will also support you on this. And last but not least, I want also recommend the trial version of AnalyticsCreator. You can order the trial version on our webpage directly. There is a button, just fill out, and within 24 hours, you get a link to download the trial version for 30 days.